I'm not telling y'all what to think. I'm just saying, watch how this story changes. Pay attention to the timeline, because when it turns, it gets real uncomfortable. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about Kathy White.
Yeah.
She was college educated, very beautiful. She ran a PR firm, and it was rumored that she was in a relationship with Jay-Z.
Right.
At the same time, he was in a relationship with Beyonce. Matter of fact, I think he was engaged to Beyonce, if I'm not mistaken, or if not already married.
I believe they were already married at the time. This is when Beyonce was pregnant.
Allegedly.
You know? We'll get to that part.
Allegedly.
Because
Because I see Beyonce pregnancy, but I'm like, this don't look like no real pregnant woman. Like, like how, you know, when you pregnant, your face get fat, your titties get fat, your nose get, Beyonce look like Beyonce up here, and her stomach look, it didn't look, and then she wore wide dresses so you couldn't get a paint of the body.
Well, what about when it deflated her stomach?
Know.
I mean, like, I'm still trying to, how do you rationalize that? That's again, like, are you going to believe the mainstream media, or are you going to believe your eyes? And keep in mind, a lot of the stories that you read about celebrities, guess who the source is? Their publicist.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, it's not like there's, it's the source is the publicist.
Or damn near the celebrity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yes.
Sometimes the sources are the celebrity. So, like, they will just feed lies and lies and lies. It's the media's job to investigate what the publicist is saying to see if it's true or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I thought they were married at the time. I can't remember, but she was definitely pregnant with Blue Ivy. And
yeah, because Kathy died in September. Blue Ivy was born in January of that following year. Because I did look that up.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Kathy?
I never met her in person.
Okay.
So what happened is, this is when I was at Star Magazine, and my boss said, "Hey, I want to do this, Jay-Z affair, Mistress story. He's allegedly having an affair with this woman named Kathy White. Can you find her? Can you get a hold of her? Blah, blah, blah." And I said, sure. And so at the time, I got a hold of her, and I was told that she was living in California, but then by the time I got a hold of her, she was in New York, working for a company in New York, and I can't
Keep
remember.
talking. I'm Googling something while you say
I
that.
couldn't remember the name of the company.
Okay.
I know you said that she had her own PR company, but the company she was working for was not her own company.
Okay.
Because one of the things that stuck out to me the most is I talked to a couple of her colleagues, and one of her colleagues was very chatty. And her colleague was not happy that she was working there, and she'd just been transferred, to New York. I say transferred because it was my impression that Jay-Z had her move there.
Oh,
because
him and Beyonce had an apartment in New York at the time, and I guess it would be easier.
I was the impression that I was given by multiple sources was that she wasn't qualified for the job that she got. I know it pissed off her colleagues, because her one colleague went on and on and on about it. And she's like, it doesn't make any sense that she got the position that she's in, like, she's not qualified for it. And like, she just came out of nowhere. And I'm like, well, did Jay-Z get her the job? Like, is this like part of their deal or whatever? And she didn't know for sure if that had happened, but she believed that was highly plausible, because it just didn't make sense. She just came out of nowhere, and she didn't seem to be qualified. And like, I don't know, the whole thing was just really strange. So she was working for this other company at the time, and I got a hold of her at her office. And initially, when I talked to her on the phone, I said, there's been blogs, the Hollywood Street King, that have reported that, you're Jay-Z's mistress and you've had an affair with him. And she said that she didn't even know him. And I was like, come on. I'm like, so you're saying that you've never even met him? And she's like, no. And then she proceeded to tell me that she'd never even been in the same room as him, and she'd never been to one of his concerts, like nothing.
They say that allegedly, I mean, just looking in everyday life situations, sometimes the first thing that the person do is deny knowing this person at all. So you kind of see how this story is starting to change up a little bit. I just want you guys to pay attention to what she's already said versus what she's about to say, and you can see the change up. You know what I mean? And if you do, let me know. Leave it down in the comment section. Let's get back into it. Hey, and be sure to hit like on this video.
And I was like, all right. And then after we got off the phone, like I did more digging and I found pictures of her with Jay-Z. You know, and one of the pictures was, I believe, her at Tao in Las Vegas with Diddy as well.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, okay, well, if she's lying about this, that, you know, the fact she's lying about knowing him, obviously, because I have the photos.
And never even been in the same room.
Yeah. So now, so it's like, so she's probably lying about the affair too, right? And so I called her back and I was like, hey, Kathy, I'm like, I'm looking at pictures of you with Jay-Z. You know, you're like at a party with him or a nightclub or whatever. And it's clearly you. And so, you know, I know that you've met him and you've been in the same room as him and you denied that before. So back then, at the time, we had sources telling us that, yes, they were having an affair and she is his mistress. And so I said, you know, my boss wants to run this story and you can tell your side of it or you cannot tell your side of it, but we're probably going to run the story regardless. And so I said, if you want to tell your story on the record, you can tell it off the record. It's up to you. But, you know, we're probably going to run this story one way or the other. And, it's your choice. But I know that at the minimum, like you've been in the same room as him because of these photos. And
then you lied about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that point, she just, was like, all right, and she wasn't denying, okay, yeah, like I was in the photos. At that point, she was like, she knew that she was busted, right? And so she was like, okay, yeah. Let me think about it. Let me think about doing an interview with you. And so she was considering doing the interview with me. And after I brought the photos, she didn't say, oh, well, I was at this party with him, but, I'm not his mistress. There was none of that. It was just, all right. I just talked to Kathy. And so she was thinking about doing the story. And the next thing I know, I'm trying to get a hold of her and I can't. And again, this is before cell phones. Most people didn't have cell phones back then. And so I kept trying to call her work. And, so I called her colleagues and I said, well, do you know what's going on with Kathy? It's just so weird. I haven't heard from her. She usually answered her phone. And the one colleague I got a hold of first was like, yeah, she's dead. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, she's dead. I'm like, what do you mean she's dead? Like what happened? Like, was she sick? Was there something wrong with her? And she said, she's like, I heard that she was just found in her apartment dead. And they didn't know what had happened, And so at that point in time, like that was very disturbing for me to hear because, intuitively I'm like, oh, there's something more going on here.
They said it was a brain aneurysm.
Yeah, they said it was a brain aneurysm. She was 28. She was healthy from what I've been told.
She was a fitness.
And, initially, there was sources saying that police did believe that it could have been a homicide and there was signs of that at the scene. And the next thing you know, it's the coroner lists it as an aneurysm. And I remember telling my boss, I'm like, I think she was murdered. Like there's way too many red flags here with the story that aren't adding up. And then there was other blogs like reporting that blogs that I had not spoken to, by the way. I wasn't talking to anyone. And there were other blogs reporting that, a reporter from a tabloid, reached out to her and she was considering like doing, telling her story with this reporter. Well, they were talking about me. And so I don't know who their sources were.
Well, how they found that out.
Because I didn't talk to them, but Kathy must have told some of her friends that she had talked to me. And then the next thing, so it was, it's getting around. And then some of these blogs reported that what happened after I talked to her on the phone is that she went to Jay-Z and said that I reached out to her, and she told him that she was considering doing the story. And then some other people wrote and or speculated that she gave Jay-Z kind of an ultimatum, like, you know, give me X amount of dollars or else I'm going to tell this story.
Now you see what I mean by how that timeline of events has switched up. I just plant the narrative for you to come up with your own conclusion. What do you think? Is it possible? And you know what I'm talking about. Leave it down in the comments section. Did what she say sound like it could have lined up to the speculations that we have heard about this young lady? Leave it in the comment section, man. I'm going to be paying attention to all the comments. It's your boy Chaotic One. This is the KMHP TV YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel by hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell if you like anything on this channel. Until the next time, peace.